Welcome to It's a Broker Thing podcast, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. Each episode will dive into market updates, practical insights, and real stories for brokers who want to stay ahead, build stronger relationships, and grow their business. Let's dive in. The rules of broking have changed. Winning today isn't the same game that it used to be 5-10 years ago. On this episode, we'll talk about the evolution of the broker journey, how top-performing brokers are winning in today's markets, how lenders are best supporting brokers and aggregators. Joining me in this conversation is Michael Karpathakis, the National Head of Business Performance at Loan Market. MK, welcome to It's a Broker Thing.
Mate, how good. And thank you for the invitation. So, I've been lucky enough to be on a couple of podcasts internally within LMG and Loan Market, but that was all to build me up the confidence to be able to spend time with you, Tone. So thank you.
All right, let's see. This is the way it's going to go. Let's get the elephant in the room out here, right? So you and I started working together, about 15, 16 years ago?
Yeah.
At Westpac.
Yeah, and still having nightmares.
And you decided to turn your back on me. But there was a moment that you decided to go rogue in one of the broker newsletters or magazines. What happened there?
How funny. You told me we weren't going to bring this up. Like you said we weren't. So what it was I worked with Tony. This was, 14, 15, 16 years ago. I was with Westpac, head of strategic partnerships, which was awesome for the role I'm in now because it gave me a really good insight on how brokers how banks think, you know what I mean, and what was important and aligning the value of the broker channel back to the customer, which was really good. But I do remember I at that time I took the shift or moved from Westpac across to the Loan Market, which was a tough decision at the time. Exciting decision, but I do remember I did get interviewed and I did say in the interview that one of the hardest decisions was to leave you. And I think I said something stupid and terrible now that still haunts me that I said I think I adored you, which was terrible. So that, you're 100% right.
Seriously, what were you thinking?
It was just a moment of weakness.
It haunts me. I've still got people still talk to me about that.
Well, it was all about giving you material for your podcast and giving you material for whatever conversations. And I know whenever you catch up with Sam White, you keep asking him whether or not does MK ever said that he adores you because he said it's about me. So there you go.
We'll get onto that later. But in seriousness, you have been in the industry for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
On both the lending side and the aggregator broker side.
Yep.
Love to just delve into what drew you to the industry in the first place and what keeps you sort of, you're a highly motivated guy and up front. What keeps you going?
It's a good call. So what got me into the industry? I'm trying to think. So it's back in the time. I think I was starting to deal with brokers, but I was in a third part, a different industry. So I think I was working for a bond provider at that stage, and that's where, lucky enough to meet my beautiful wife, Belinda. So Belinda and I used to work together. But I used to love working with brokers and sort of seeing just how passionate brokers were around looking after their customers and just the lengths they would go to be able to supporting people when needed. And that was great. So I did that. But over time, for me, like when I've gone to Loan Market, and what really attracted me from shifting across is I just love dealing with brokers. And if I look back now, some of my and we know this, like broking can be lonely. Like you'd understand this, Tone. Like broking can be lonely because normally a lot of businesses, they've got their head down, they're focused on trying to provide the right outcome for the customer, and they're on their own. Like sometimes they're in silos. So one thing I love is building trust, building relationships with people in the business and helping them achieve what's important and what their goals are. And I've loved the relationships I've built, but every day you keep learning, you keep getting better, and it's about passing that on.
I like, and I think for me, I just love the entrepreneurial spirit of, every broker's a small business in their own right. And if they don't succeed, then, they don't pay the people that work for them, or they don't put food or the school fees or all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so they have that, that real adventurous spirit to go out there and have a crack. And I've always admired that and found that an exciting part of our industry, because it if you don't nail things and do things and put customers first, you can't win.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned, which has been awesome, is and as you say, take your hat off to brokers within the industry. Like when they're good at what they do, they grow in their journey. So what I mean by that is they start off selling principal, out there dealing with customers and building momentum. But then what happens is they start to grow into leadership, because if they're in front of enough clients, all of a sudden they need to bring on support, CSMs, credit analysts, bring on different roles into the business, which actually normally frees them up to be able to get in front of more clients. But do you see, they've now got two hats. So they're growing into leadership. They've started off, they're income producing, doing what they're really good at, looking after clients. Then what they do is they build a team, and then it's about helping and leading their staff. And then the third hat, because as you said, entrepreneurial, they own their own business. They're not waiting for someone else to tell them what they need to do. They also need to be the leader, setting the plan, setting the strategy. So like hats off to them. Good business owners, they're running three different buckets. And when you're doing income producing, leading a team, and setting the plan and the vision for the business, it's exceptional.
Yeah. So you and I have been privileged to have a bit of a front row seat of the evolution of the broking journey over a fairly lengthy period now. Looking back on that, we've had ASIC reviews, we've had royal commissions, we've had more and more regulation. In your thinking, what's the most impactful event that's happened over those 15, 20 years in broking?
Fine, yeah. And you know what? All of them they're equally as important. The probably stand out for me was, do you remember when COVID hit? Oh my God, like the conversations. I was running New South Wales back at the time, so I was in loan market, running New South Wales. And I remember we all came together. So the leadership team, as part of Sam, it was like, okay, we're on. COVID's about to hit. What do we need to do? And how do we help our businesses? But more importantly, by helping our businesses, it's helping our customers through a very difficult position. And I remember at first. And do you remember everyone was skeptical and nervous? It was like, oh my God, are we done? Like is the industry going to fall into a heap? How do we navigate these conditions? And it was what we started to do is we embraced tech, and we saw that prior to COVID. It was something like, and you guys like those that are listening, it's good to go and sort of review your business pre and post. But it was something like 80% of the appointments back then were face to face. Then what happened? If I look at the data now, if I look at good businesses, particularly Eastern Seaboard, it sits close to 90 to 95% now is online. So it's all online, a real shift. So what we ended up doing during that time was, how do we help our businesses shift to what do we need to do if we go into lockdown? And remember, Victoria was smashed. Like Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, SAWA probably not as much, because they probably handled COVID a little bit different. But what we ended up seeing is we needed to put our arms around the network and make sure tech, the way they were engaging their customers, and help them, but really got the feedback from some of our best businesses around how we navigated through COVID. And it was amazing. We went into COVID and we were nervous. We were worried about how things were going to go. But the growth that the industry and the businesses had during that period was second to none.
Yeah, I recall when COVID first started bubbling around, and I was the general manager of a regional bank that was based in Tasmania at the time, and so I was commuting back and forth.
Were you in
Sydney.
Lockdown in Tassie or not?
Oh, they wouldn't let us in, because there was a whole bunch of. I don't know if you recall. There was that cruise ship in Sydney. Where a bunch of people had COVID, got off. It was before all the protocols came in. Well, a bunch of those people were from Tasmania, so Tasmania got really jumpy about this. Right. But when it was first happening, we almost took it, lighthearted as a joke. This will be over in a week or whatever. And we took advantage of not having to fly to Hobart every week there. But then it just went, for years on. But the thing that I recall about it, and I've said this to people, we took a whole bank in its operations and moved it from running in a physical location to running in people's homes. If we planned to do that, it would have taken us 12, 18 months and we probably still would have mucked it up.
Yeah.
The reality is we did it in a week.
Yeah, how good.
Because we had to. And we weren't unique. There were businesses and brokers did the same thing, changed their model basically on a dime. And yeah, sure, there were a couple of screw ups here and there.
Yeah.
But the reality is things kept moving and as you say, actually in the lending and the broking space, we saw tremendous growth during those periods, and we all changed our models and we've retained a lot of those really good things that we learnt through that COVID period.
Hey, can I make a comment? So it's quite interesting you say that. Like normally, if you're going to drive change, and so many people that would listen today, you think about this. If you go to drive change, there's always that bit of skepticism. You take your time, you circle back, you think. But what happened during COVID? We didn't have time to second guess. Like we had to move. Like it was like, okay, well, we're in lockdown. We got customers that need to be looked after, and now's the time. And one thing I've learned through my time in loan market, but also in Elevate, the strength of your existing customers. Like we get out there and we chase so much new business, but over time, if you actually go in and you look at the data, the established, good, strong businesses, the majority of their volume will always come from existing customers or referrals from existing. So what was really interesting is during COVID, we didn't have time to second guess. We had to go, but the learning on that is, how often do we procrastinate about making a decision? Because what we learned during COVID is when we needed to move to do the right thing by the customer and we needed to evolve, God, we moved quick and we got a great outcome at the end of it.
Yeah, which is a really nice segue into high performance and top performers. And, you're currently running a high performance program in the loan market business. But in dealing with brokers, what do you see the top performers are doing that others should really be looking to learn from?
Yeah. Oh, mate, there's so much. So I would say a couple of things. Like, if I talk about the type of customer, know the customer. So so the first thing for me would be know the type of customer segment. So one thing we just recently did in Elevate is we focused. I've got all of our businesses driving 1.5 times growth, which is awesome. So within 12 months, if you're a business that does 100 mil, success in Elevate is you've got to be 150 mil over the next 12 months, which is pretty cool. I think we're running about 160%. So figures-wise, really good. So what we do in meeting 3 is we get the guys together and they pull apart where the leads are coming from, okay? So customer acquisition. So if we need to drive scale, we need to grow, we're going to look at where do we want to focus? And part of the focus is we look at how many, we look at what sort of lead gen's coming in based on different lead sources, what appointments or what lodgements are coming off of that, and how does that convert to settlements as well. And by doing that, we know where the best lead source is to drive growth. So that's the first. The second thing is you've got to surround yourself with the best people. So, and what I mean by that is I'm talking referrers. I've got a lot of our best businesses now that are building their own B&I group. So what I mean by that is rather than going into a B&I and being added in, what they're doing is they're aligning B&I groups based on the type of customer. So they'll go in there, they will, like a real good established business, and they'll start to identify, they might find a buyer's agent or accountant or a financial planner that's already is sharing similar customers. So they go and create their own B&I group. But where I was going with this is you surround yourself with the best people, because what ends up happening is if you surround yourself with the best people, you get better. And then that also ties into the recruitment internally. So who you bring in, contractors, employees, CSMs, they need to be a reflection of the values that you want to deliver.
And so they really recognise where their own gaps are, and then surround themselves with people that can fill those gaps. And actually, the sum makes them so much better than if they tried to do it all themselves or individually.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to be all things for all people.
Yeah.
Themselves, but their community is starting to build that and fulfill all those needs.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing I'll give you, which was pretty good, is one of the first things I realised is most businesses focus on driving settlements. Okay, but both you and I know when you focus on settlements, there's always that lag. Like, what's the lag between an appointment lodgement into settlement? It's something like a 2 or 3 month lag. So what ends up happening if you're focused on driving settlements? You're actually focused. If you're having a good month this month for settlements, it's got nothing to do with what you're doing this month. It's actually got something to do with what you were doing 2 and 3 months ago. So one thing we've done is, you tell me what the best businesses are doing. They will reverse engineer their KPIs. So first thing, they'll set a plan for the year ahead, but they will break down the plan because, look, if you're established, you're a good business, you're going to know what the conversion is. So you're going to know if you want to settle a certain amount, revenue, you know what that looks like for settlements. You also know what that looks like for lodgements. You even know what that looks like for discovery meetings. So what a discovery meeting might be is a good quality discussion. And then what you end up doing is you start to adjust the top of funnel KPIs. So you start to focus on how many appointments, how many lodgements. And by doing that and tracking that weekly, and then what the best businesses do, they will cascade that down to each pod, Tone. So what each pod is, each broker pod, and they'll reverse engineer each KPI for each pod. And then what ends up happening is you don't have the lag effect. If you're holding the team accountable based on top of funnel, it just drives growth.
It is so true. You always have an end game, but if you focus on that, then you're going to get distracted. And you look at the sporting communities, and the best sporting coaches around the world will say, focus on the process, focus on what you're doing, and the outcome will deliver it itself. And largely that's what you're really saying.
Yeah, and the other thing, like if I articulate it, it's amazing how many people don't set a strategy. Remember I was talking about the 3 buckets earlier, like whether they're selling they're income producing, they're trying to lead their teams, they're setting plans and strategy. It's amazing how many businesses are so busy they don't even have time to set a plan for the year ahead. And sometimes, if you look FY27, okay, so they haven't set a plan for FY27. Then you get other people that might have had time to set the plan for FY27, but then they put it in the drawer and it never comes out again. Or they set a plan and they don't share it with their team. So one thing I try to make sure is when we're working with the team, not only do we set the plan for the year ahead, but we get the team's buy-in. Because if you get the team to buy in, own the plan, I don't care if it's CSMs, credit analysts, brokers, you want them to own the plan. So it's not all on the business owner. So the whole team owns the plan for the year ahead. And then by getting their buy-in, they're going to do all they can to ensure that it succeeds. And the other thing is, don't set your plan. If you're going to set your plan for FY27, don't set the goddamn plan in June or July. What you got to be doing is setting the plan in Feb or March, because it's the work we do in March, April based on activity, which is going to ensure we get a fast start for settlement growth in July.
Yeah. We have a wonderful industry where you kind of know the lead time. You know what that looks like. And if if you're not hitting your mark at the beginning of the month, or don't have the activity at the beginning, you're not going to hit the number at the end. And so that proactive planning and thinking, what do I need to put in place, really becomes important.
And you used to teach me this when I was at Westpac. So it's not only about setting the plan. What you got to do is, okay, so we're on. So we set the plan. We set it back in Feb or March. We hit go on the 1st of July, but we're already doing the activity. So 1.5 times growth. We're doing the activity in April, May that we need for 1 July. But what I was going to say is then we run hard from July to September. But then what we do is we need to do the 90-day sprints. So what you should be doing at the 90 days is you take time, you get your team together again, and we track how are we going for the first 90 days. Are we on track? If we are, we're great. Then you reset for the back half. If you're actually performing above target, then maybe we need to realign the targets for the back half of the year because we're performing better. If we're behind, then we need to change the KPIs, which are those appointment numbers, lodgement numbers, to make sure that we're doing the activity to hit the targets that you set at the start of the year.
Yeah, you don't shift them down. You may shift them up to reflect, but not miss and then realign downwards. But
totally
exceed and realign upwards.
Yeah. And it's a good time to do it. You got to do it every 90 days. Like we've just seen the change with the budget. I'm seeing a bit of a two-tiered a sort of framework or economy at the moment. So I'm seeing some brokers take off, okay, like their figures have spiked, so their appointment numbers, their lodgements are spikes. I've seen others where that have probably come off a little, but when I say come off, what's happened is the organic lead inquiry, because what a broker business will do is they get two types of inquiries. You get the organic, which is the phone rings, existing customers reach out, referrers refer in. And then you get the proactive stuff where you're outbound calls, mining data, social media, you're doing outbound. So what I'm seeing is those businesses, what they've done is the inbound stuff might have come off a little bit, but what they've done is then they've upped the ante around the proactive prospecting and outbound activity to fill any gap, which has been really good.
So you point out that we've just recently seen a budget and probably a budget that has delivered more change, particularly in the housing investment market than we've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
What are your brokers telling you about the impacts and what they're feeling there?
Yeah, it's a good question. So now more than ever, they want to stay tight with the banks, like communicate with us, give us time, because we got customers that are going to be impacted, but also we've also got customers that might be in the pipeline that we might have introduced to the bank prior to the change. So help us navigate that. But also what I'm also seeing is, you know how they say never waste a crisis, okay? So what I'm also seeing, and I won't embarrass her, but one of our Elevate businesses, which is one of our Elevate Elite, so amazing business, and she shared with me. So she's been using AI, pardon me, and working with our marketing team to create a social media framework that she can push out aligned to what's going on with the budget, but more around educating her customers, but the wider audience around what's happening and how to navigate through it and where do we go. And it was something like in 7 days, she's had 80,000 views.
Wow.
So you talk about seizing the opportunity, like to me, that, and I don't know what lead gen's come off the back of it, but if you've got 80,000 people that are inquiring, that what that tells me is there's an appetite out there where we need to know more, and maybe it's like COVID. We need business owners that are going to be proactive, are going to be able to guide us and navigate us through a time that's changed. And that sort of 80,000 inquiries within a week, like that's so much opportunity.
That's a mad
huge,
number, and it says to me that there's uncertainty.
Yeah.
There's a thirst for knowledge.
Yeah.
And if you can step forward and provide some of that knowledge, then clearly you're going to win.
Yeah.
In this space.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one thing I'd say, like the broking industry, it's the strongest it's ever been. Okay, and it's amazing to see just how so many amazing businesses within the group are leveraging the environment we're in and getting better. So that's a great case study of someone's identifying how we can shift and how we can make change. But what it also shows to me, if you've got 80,000 views, and what's the number now? Is it 70%, 75% of all?
77%.
77?
The latest numbers, yeah.
So you got 77% of all customers or all loans out there have been introduced by a broker. So what if this broker's been able to identify an audience of 80,000, what that says to me is there's a lot of brokers that aren't staying in touch with their customers post-settlement. Okay? So there's a lot of customers out there that it was quite funny. In the early days, it was almost like bank versus broker. Okay, now it's almost like it's sort of broker versus broker, and customers are becoming more demanding and more in need of having a broker that doesn't actually just look after them until the time the loan settles, but is really good with that post-settlement framework. And one thing we're really trying to drive is we've got to be in contact with each of our customers every 6 months. And really tight about making sure where they are now is the right solution, but also exploring all options to look after them as we keep going.
I think that's so important because, as you say, 77% of all loans are originated through brokers, and
Huge.
It's probably going to go further north.
Yeah.
We think back when we started this conversation 10 years ago and the change that's gone in the industry, and brokers were clearly the challenger. 10, 15 years ago. Actually, they're the main game in town now, and it's really important that they continue to be out there and stretch themselves and stay close to their customers to not make the same mistakes that some of the banks have potentially made through their proprietary channels over the years.
Yeah, but it's funny, but even broker to broker, one thing we see is a real two-tiered sort of economy now, in the sense there was some stat I saw out of one of the industry bodies. It was something like, I think it was like 50% of brokers that are accredited generate less than $5 million a year in settlements, so $30K in upfronts. So we look at that 77%. That's not 77% of represented by all the brokers that are in the industry. Like 50% are generating that 77% market share. So I think what we're going to see a push where we'll see more business. We'll see that two-tier. We'll see some brokers will become complacent and probably won't evolve, won't shift, will stay where they are. But what we'll see is, because the demands of the customer is, we want to make sure we're aligned with a broker that's not only got our transaction in mind, but is a real partner for us for life. We'll see those brokers get better and pick up more market share over time.
Yeah, I think in times of uncertainty are really times of great opportunity. Mate, you're not going to believe it. We've run out of time here. Now, we've had an opportunity to look a little bit about some of the changes that have happened in the industry, touch slightly on high performance. Going to get you back, and in the next episode, I really want to delve into a program that you're leading with the Loan Market Group called Elevate, which is all about high performance. But thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to catching you in the next episode. And thank you for joining us out there. Make sure you subscribe and stay connected for more insights, and we'll see you on the next episode of It's a Broker Thing. That's a wrap of this episode of It's a Broker Thing, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. We love sharing ideas that help you stay ahead, because backing brokers, well, it's a Bluestone thing. Hit subscribe and join us next time for more insights and stories that keep you in the know. This podcast is for general education only and isn't financial, legal or tax advice. Guest views are their own. Bluestone accepts no liability for errors or how you use this information.